This will be another very quick one. So when you're building a computer, right, you get your motherboard, and it used to be that motherboards would have like either a built-in beeper or your case had a PC speaker on it, or the motherboard shipped with the beeper that you could slot in, right? And what that beeper did was, let's say your RAM was dead, it would beep at you, and you would check the manual, and it would show you like how it would be like Morse code or some shit, like a long beep plus short beep is bad RAM, or your RAM isn't slotted in or whatever, or one of them would be like CPU problem, and you could debug based on that, right? So a lot of old boards also came with a 7 segment display that would show you a more detailed code, like what specifically went wrong, because it had a lot more options than just like long beep, short beep, short beep. And there's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that with beeps, I guess. But whatever. You kind of have the choice between both of those, right? So I noticed though that when I was building newer computers that the motherboard would have beep codes, but it wouldn't ship the beeper, So I've never actually owned a board with a 7 segment display. I've seen them in use. I think I may have used one time, but it was on like a dead board or something, so I wasn't able to use it for very long. But Gamers Nexus, I made a video months and months ago. This is another jumping on a very late bandwagon, where they were talking about how you need to have some sort of debugging on your board, and I was like, yeah, I used to use these beep codes, but then I had to start ordering the beeper separately. But luckily, those cost like $1. I mean, they're insanely cheap for to get a fucking piezo beeper or whatever, and you just slot it into the speaker, the PC speaker thing over by your in that little cluster of power LED, power switch, or the hardware LED, or sorry, hard drive LED, and all that. You would have 4 pins for a speaker, and only 2 of them would actually be used because as a speaker, it only has 2 wires. And that was always really helpful, is having fucking debugging on the board. So I'm like, man, if you're gonna uh include a some sort of debugging, include either the beeper or the display. Pick one and put it in there, but don't ship neither of them. Even though the speaker kind of uh, was Gamers Nexus solution, of why can't we just buy a 7 segment display and slot it into a header if they don't want to actually include it. It's like, well, the header probably costs as much as the display itself, so there's no point in having a. It's not like TPM where the chip actually cost a bit of money. Where, I mean, it's not that much, but where they had headers on the board to add a TPM2 chip. No, if you're gonna include a 7 segment display, just include the solder it into the board, man. You don't need to slot anything in. This isn't the 90s anymore, where you have like a 486 with uh little cache chip cache chips for your L2 cache. Oh my god. Uh, but anyways, like, if you don't want to do that, just include the beeper. You know, include a little PC speaker, and they'll be happy. And that's really about it. I just wanted to talk a bit about debugging. That's it. Thanks.